Today, May 10th, is the last day of National Corrections Officer Appreciation Week. During the past week, I repeatedly reached out to Sheriff Stratton for assistance in setting up an interview with somebody to talk about corrections, the jail, and National Corrections Officer Appreciation Week. I even reached out to Major BJ Boerger, who runs the jail. I never got any response whatsoever. None. Not a denial, not an acceptance, not anything. It's ridiculous and it should be unacceptable. So I'm just getting to the jail right now. It's a little foggy down here, but I'm going to do something that hopefully will be entertaining, but also will be a message, should be a message to all of our elected officials that the era of hiding from questions, the era of refusing press interviews is over. It is over. You guys all run claiming that you love the citizens, you care about the citizens, you want to work for the citizens, but then as soon as you're in office, you start doing bullshit like this, like not even responding to press requests. Okay, so what I've done is I've modified my Donald Trump to put a face of Major BJ Boerger onto it so I can do an interview with them out here about National Corrections Officer Appreciation Week and the jail and corrections officers in general. So let's begin the interview with my Donald Trump Major BJ Boerger. Major Boerger, I want to thank you for taking the time to talk with me. I appreciate your commitment to public service and a willingness to take questions. I also appreciate Sheriff Stratton working with me to set up an interview during National Corrections Officer Appreciation Week, talking about the jail, talking about corrections, and about the week in general. So, Mr. Boerger, or Major Boerger, I'm sorry. Let's start with just talking about this jail that's behind us on this Saturday, May 10th, foggy morning. When was this jail built? Oh, that's interesting. Is it now? I know there was a time when it wasn't fully open. There was a wing that wasn't open. Is it all open now, or is there still a wing that is not used that would need modernization to be used? Huh, very interesting. What's the capacity here, Major Boerger? What about the split in that capacity between men and women, or what are the trend lines you're seeing between men and women as a ratio of incarceration? Oh, thank you for that insight. I took a tour once here and remembered that there was a pod system to how prisoners were housed. Is that pod system still the way that it's done today? Have there been any changes since? It was probably maybe 3 years ago that I took a tour. Have there been any changes? Yeah. Oh, yeah, really? Huh. So when you look at the age of this building that was built, whatever year you said, my understanding is that there's some technology and other challenges involving the building that it would need either maybe a new jail or modernization. Can you talk about that a little bit? Uh huh. Okay. When we talk about corrections officers and National Correction Officer Appreciation Week, how many correction officers are there on staff here at the jail? Huh, okay. I see ads running for hiring corrections officers. Can you talk about, how many you're looking to hire, what's going on, and what are kind of some of the key qualifications and some of the key attributes of somebody that would be a successful corrections officer? Thank you for that insight. And what's the difference between, if you look at a deputy that's say on road patrol or detective and a corrections officer, what's the difference between them? And do they frequently move back and forth, or is it more you pick a career path of a corrections officer or a deputy, or how does that kind of work? What does National Corrections Officer Appreciation Week mean to you and your correction officer staff? And were there any events or appreciation events that took place this week to thank the team for the good work they do here at the jail? So you guys have been housing Rodney Hinton Jr., who ran over Hamilton County Deputy Larry Henderson. Can you talk a little bit about why you guys ended up housing him? And does housing a high-profile inmate like that, does that change any of your protocols or procedures? Okay. So in 2024, in two separate incidents, two female inmates died here. Jessica Jean Windsor and Angela Thornton, both who died in custody. Can you talk some about what's the status of those cases? What was the reason for those deaths, and any changes that have resulted after those unfortunate incidents? Okay. Huh, interesting. Okay. This year in the trustee program, members Samantha Cartwright, Vanessa Tudor, Mark Wise, and Patricia Weaver were all indicted for trying to smuggle drugs into the jail through their role as cleaning the kennels at the animal shelter. Can you talk some about that particular incident and what changes have been made in the trustee program after that? And I don't even know, were they successful at smuggling drugs in, or were they caught before they were successful? Maybe help the public to know a little bit about that, what happened, and what changes have been made. Okay. And what about the changes? Any changes? Oh, very interesting. Now, are drugs in general a problem in the jail? You know, when we learn in the public that trustees were smuggling or trying to smuggle drugs in through their trustee activities, is drugs an ongoing problem? And how do you do, or how do you try to mitigate drugs getting into the jail? Okay. All right. When I took the tour, I learned that, for example, I can't give a book or a magazine to an inmate because people would use them in a way to, taint the pages or something with drugs. And is that still the case, that you can only get books or magazines if you're an inmate through the commissary, to prevent anybody from trying to smuggle drugs in through magazines, books, or somehow tainting things? Okay. Oh, thank you for that insight. In 2021, you were the detective investigating the David Ubel incident, in which he falsified petition cards, mailed them as if he was the Clermont County Republican Party. As you know, because of your great investigative work, the actual transaction for that took place in the Home Depot parking lot in Clermont County. His intent was to trick people in Clermont County. You interviewed him while you were in Clermont County. And in the trial, where it appeared to everybody that he was guilty as hell and should do jail time, all of a sudden at the very end, Scott Croswell and Judge McBride let him off, saying it was the wrong venue for the case to be brought. Do you have any reaction as the detective on that case, which by the way, did outstanding work, at how that makes you feel as a detective or as the Clermont County Sheriff's Office, when it appears that the judicial system, even if you guys do great work, it appears to a lot of citizens that the judicial system protects political insiders? Now, how would you respond to people that say that that particular case was basically a green light to say political corruption, lying to the sheriff's office, etc., is A-OK as long as you're a politically connected insider? I think that's a sentiment. I know that's my sentiment, a lot of sentiment. It's got to be demoralizing as a CCSO member that the prosecutor and the courts in our county seem to let these people off. So how would you respond to people that say that that case in particular stood out as sending an absolute green light to political corruption in Clermont County? I appreciate that you're not at liberty to you're a public servant. You don't want to comment. I just appreciate any feeling or any, what could you say? I know you're in corrections now, that the citizens can feel safe that in Clermont County political corruption, political criminals are treated the same as regular criminals versus that they're let off. I appreciate that. I appreciate that you can't comment on something like that. And I know it can be very demoralizing. So it's the end of National Corrections Officer Appreciation Week. I appreciate you taking the time as a mannequin, basically, to come out and talk with me. And hopefully next year, you'll be able to make the time to show up in person to answer fair journalistic questions about the corrections, about the jail, and about National Corrections Officer Appreciation Week. So that's my interview. And I want to again send a message to all Clermont County elected officials and public servants. The era of avoiding questions is over. If I need to chase you in a parking lot like old style 60 Minutes reporters did, I will do that. I keep telling you that. I keep warning you. I've given you like 2-3 weeks notice. But what happened here with not even responding to a request for an interview relating to National Corrections Officer Appreciation Week is unacceptable. It should be unacceptable to all citizens and to public servants.